All right, guys, we're rocking and rolling here. We're back to chapter 2, and we are in lesson 4. Lesson 4. So, what I'm going to do first off, before we go any further, is I'm going to go ahead and circle up what we have to do tonight for homework because I think that's important. We're going to do numbers 1 through 17. So, let's go ahead and circle these up. We're going to do some of these out of the homework because there's quite a bit here, but we're going to rely on our calculator quite a bit here tonight, okay? So 1 to 17, and there that is. And then we're going to jump to 22 through 43. So 22 through 43, if you are following along, that would be great. 22 through 43, I like to circle what I have to do because there's a lot. You want to get good at something? Okay. It's 22 through 42, and I apologize, 42. So I need to make that correction on my homework sheet. So, okay. All right. Well, let's get into this thing. I'm all circled up here, and we're going to get cranked up here. I'm going to go back to the guided practice here. Again, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it and then do a couple problems in there. If the announcements come on, I apologize. I'll probably pause the video and then pick up. So there might be a little bit of a blimp there. Write each percent as a decimal and as a mixed number or fraction. Okay. So let's go ahead and just jump right onto this calculator here and enter it in. 325%. And if I want to change that to a decimal, remember I taught you just to hit the equal button, and there it is. So 320, that equals 3 and 25 hundredths, right? Now, all we did was move that decimal point 2 places to the left. Now, if I want to change that to a fraction, I hit second, N over D, and enter. And you'll notice I have a down arrow, so I'm going to simp it down until we get down to a final reduced fraction of 3 and a fourth. And I'm going to put a comma there and 3 and 1/4. So 325% is 3 and 25 hundredths, which goes to 3 and a fourth. Let's go again. Let's do the first part without the calculator. Let's just move that to the left. So 480% is really 4 and 8 tenths. And really, if you think about that, I can do it kind of quicker without that, right? 4 and 8 over 10, and that reduces down to 4/5 divided by 2 divided by 2. Okay, so when they're recognizable, sometimes it's just quicker to go with that. Now let's go back to the calc. Okay, and let me see if I can adjust that just a tad better. All right, let's go. So let's take a look at 2 and 75 hundredths. 2.75. I'm going to change, oh no, I'm sorry, 0.6%. So let's make sure we enter that correctly. 0.6%. And I want to change that to a decimal. So if I hit enter, what comes up? 6 thousandths. You have to understand that. That 6 thousandths is 0.6%. All right. And if I want to change that to a fraction, I hit second N over D. I get 6 over 1,000, and it will simplify down to 3 over 500, right? It will do it for you. Now, we're going to take some mixed numbers to a decimal and a percent. No problem. You ready? 1 and 4/5. Let's go. 1. Now we're going to use this UN over D button. 4, down arrow, 5, to the right. I got to get out of that function. Now, if I just hit enter, what happens? Nothing. So I have to remember to hit second N over D. Boom. And now what comes up is 1 and 8 tenths, right? So that equals 1 and 8 tenths. And now I still need the percent. So if you recall from Monday, I taught you to use that second percent. It's going to change it to the percent. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but there it is. And it's going to equal 180%. So it's a percent greater than 100. Let's try that again. And this time, let's enter the fraction of 15 ten thousandths, right? So 15 ten thousandths, there it is. Oops, let's try that again. 15 ten thousandths, and let's switch that to a fraction. Will it do it? Let's see if it will do it. Will it? No. Sometimes your calculator can't think that way. So we have to kind of think. So think about this. All right. If I have a decimal and I want to change it to a percent, all right, well, let's go ahead and do it. 1, 2. Let's change it to 1500ths percent. And now if I want to change that to a fraction, I have to be able to read this decimal, 15 10,000ths. And now, all right, if we needed to simplify both of these, we can. I know this ends in a 5 and a 0, so I know 15 divided by 5 is 3. 10,000, all right, I may need my calculator for this, right? Divided by 5 is 2,000. And that is simplified. So 15 10,000ths equals 1500ths percent, which equals 3 2000ths. Let's go again. 2 and 7500ths. Somebody's at my door, but we're going to ignore them. Now, if I want to change that to a percent, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I get 275%. Hold on a second here. Come in. And I'm back. Somebody turned in a calculator. Thank you very much. So this decimal as a percent is 275%. And if I want to change that to a fraction, there it is. Let's simplify that. And let's go again. And that will simplify down to 2 3/4. So you're going to know by just doing this that 7500ths is 3/4, right? Okay. Let's go. A manufacturing company finds that 19 10,000ths of the light bulbs made were defective. What is this as a percent? So I'm not even going to grab it. I'm just going to move that 2 to the right. So this as a percent is 1900ths of a percent, right? And if you didn't believe that, let's go ahead and plug it into our calculator, 0.0019, and let's change that to a percent. And there it is, 1900ths percent. So that worked out well, right? Okay, let's do a couple more problems off the homework and maybe do 1, 5, 9, and maybe 13. I don't know. Maybe let's do a couple more of these. Write each percent as a decimal and as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. Okay. So we know to get a percent to a decimal, we just move it to the left. I really want you to try to do it that way because it's so easy. 3 5/10 equals 350%. Now, if you need to use that calculator here, go ahead and do it. And there it is, 3 5/10. And you're going to know that that's going to reduce down to 1/2. So 3 1/2. 2 1/2, mixed number as a percent. Okay. So 2, to get that mixed number, we have to go to UN over D. 1
Right
down
now, all
2.
car riders
There
and
is
walkers
the
are dismissed.
announcements.
Please walk, make your way down through the hallway
Okay.
towards the gym and out the side door.
And I paused it there. But anyway, we want to change that to a percent. So just hit second, arrow percent, and there it is, 250%. They don't want it as a decimal. They just wanted it as a percent. Let's try this one, the decimal as a percent. Again, it's easier to do it without the calculator, but I'll show you both ways. Here, I'm just going to move that decimal point 2 places to the right, and I could write it like that, certainly, right? If I'm unsure, I grab my handy calculator and I enter 8 5/10, and I'm going to hit second percent, and you're going to notice it comes up to 850%. So we have a pretty good pace here. Let's continue on to 13. The size of a large milkshake is 1 4/10 times the size of a medium. What is 1 4/10 as a percent? Okay, so 1 4/10. If I move that 2 to the right, I end up being at 140%. If you didn't believe it, grab the calculator. 1 4/10, hit second percent, and there it comes up, 140%. Last one that I'm going to do with you is number 15. In a recent year, the United States Census Bureau reported that 0.3% of the population in the United States was Japanese. Write this percent as a decimal and as a fraction. Okay, so 0.3, excuse me, I wrote that wrong. 0.3%. Okay, so to change this to a decimal, we move it 2 to the left, and it is equal to that, right? And that's 3 thousandths. Now, we can change this to 3 over 1,000. And let's just go ahead and use our calculator one last time, just to make sure. 0.3%. We want to change that to a decimal, and there it is. See? And if I want to change that to a fraction, there it is. So, we've reviewed how to do that mentally and with the calculator. Continue to get this work done. There's a lot, but it's all calculator, really. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.